Yeah, they're actually incredibly simple. First one is your culture worth belonging to? Of course, every organisation has a culture, and in fact they're going to have one even if they don't realise it. The important thing is the culture they've got, is it worth belonging to? And how do you know? How do you discover that? How do you ensure that if it's not, that it becomes increasingly so? And so that's the first thing that I would encourage an organisation to focus on is, to what extent is their workplace culture worth belonging to? It's so important when you talk to employees. It's one of the major reasons that they actually come to work, sometimes even if they don't enjoy the work that they're doing, is because the culture they're part of makes it worthwhile, it compensates. I often refer to it as your second salary. The first salary, of course, is the money you're earning. The second one is to the extent that you enjoy your company culture. So just foundation area is to ensure that you've got a culture worth belonging to. The second one is to think about, is the work that your organisation does worth doing? So that can be sort of in a moral perspective, where you actually think about, the outputs of your organisation and what you're achieving in the world. Is that actually a good thing to be doing? Because that can influence to the extent to which people are willing to come and work for you, strive and try their hardest for you. The second one is actually sort of just adding some value in the world. So is it just another commodity item that the world doesn't really need? And therefore, how easy is it to retain people and keep them motivated and feeling good about themselves and what they're doing? So just questioning yourself on, is the work that we do worth doing, is a really valuable one for organisations to consider. And then third and finally, but certainly not in any capacity less than the other two, is, are your leaders worth following? Again, we often have people who are leaders in organisations simply because they got promoted into that position because they were the best available, or even the only available person in some cases. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're a leader worth following. So one of the questions I often ask leaders directly themselves, in fact, is, how do you know if you are a leader worth following? There's very different ways of finding out that sort of information. You can do it through 360 feedback. You can do it through just observations about staff and their performance around you when you're present. And also when you're absent, it can be quite telling if performance goes up when you as the leader are not actually there. You take annual leave and suddenly record sales results are being achieved. So paying attention to, are you a leader worth following, is a critical thing to consider if you're going to unlock the power of your workplace culture.